Hey, welcome. This is Maniac Tim with Maniac Sports. How's everybody doing today? Yeah, I kind of named it up all night because I really ain't had a lot of sleep today, but oh well. I don't got work, so I hope everybody's doing good. I really do. I hope everybody had a good day yesterday. Um, I know I did. I went ahead and seen a movie called The Forge. I thought it was worth seeing. I do know that it's more a Christian type movie, which I'll tell you, I think is a good deal. Uh, if anybody wants to see that movie, I would highly recommend it. Um, but like I say, it is a Christian movie, and I would highly recommend The Forge. Okay. Well, of course, Thursday today starts the week two. Right on today, we'll see week two of the NFL starts. Buffalo will be at um, Miami. So we're going to see that. We'll see those two teams play. Um, welcome. See, I have one guy viewing me, or one person viewing me because I really don't know this guy or girl. But thank you for coming on. More than welcome to join the stream if you feel like it. Um, but yeah, um, I really like The Forge. It really was a good movie. But I also want to one of the things I kind of pulled up too is of course this being Maniac Sports, I'm looking at the different belts in wrestling belts. Uh, AEW. Okay, All Elite Wrestling. I mean, yeah, I know wrestling is entertainment. It's not it's not really a sport, but it does take some athletic ability to do some of the stuff in it. So it is kind of sports entertainment, but it's also where the outcome is decided. It is not where the outcome is won or anything like that. So it's that's what it's not really a competition to say. You may have people that get mad at each other and stuff like that, but it is definitely uh, a show that is set. But I know, especially in the '90s, in the '80s, you know, and of course, way back even in the '70s, you used to have two major federations that went up against each other, and of course, those were WWF, which is current WWE. Used to be World Wrestling Federation. Um, then you also have the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, which was Georgia Championship Wrestling, and they dealt with a lot of more regional wrestlings back then. You would have had Mid South was one of the ones. Also the AWA, the American Wrestling Alliance. And of course, um, then you had the what you call it, ECW, which came along more later. ECW is Stream Wrestling, uh, and of course I said Miss South. Um, but slowly, a lot of these ones were absorbed into one wrestling federation that stood strong, stood above the others, and especially when the two major ones that they acquired, the WWE, WWF, of course, changed their name to the WWE, to World Wrestling Entertainment. Um, but um, they they first acquired the ECW, Extreme Wrestling. Then once Viacom bought uh, Turner Broadcasting, um, they more or less wanted to get rid of WCW. Ted Turner, used to own that, and that was his baby. Georgia Championship Wrestling became World Championship Wrestling, and for a while there, they were the top notch. They uh, they came up with live shows that people really wanted to watch, because before that you had, they would more or less throw you a bone, more to say. They'd give you a show where you wouldn't get like championship matches, or like you would get, you know they would the shows would be more promoted, to get you drug into more the pay-per-views, and before that, for the live stage audience, not the TV tapings. But when you added Monday Nitro to it, it more or less became uh, a show that people wanted to see. You want to see basically good, the stars fighting the scrubs on these shows. And then of course they went head to head, as far as in time, because back then, WWE, was not live at first. Uh, Monday night, Monday Night Raw, used to be taped for Tuesday Night Titans, TNT. So they went ahead and more or less created factions fighting against, each other to try to take it back. One of the downfalls of WCW, however, was that they paid the immortal Hulk Hogan way too much money. So they really couldn't make money on the pay-per-views, the stuff like that, from what I heard. So it was kind of like a sinking ship, because they had to make so much revenue in order to do so. It was just, but what they thought of, let's just say, if you back then, Hulk Hogan was considered like maybe, relative to what if your team were to go ahead, and if your league were to go ahead and steal like Tom Brady at the prime away from the Patriots. That's the type of power that Hulk Hogan had. And he did. He demanded respect and money, and they basically thought that if they could get Hulk Hogan over there, as well as Diesel, and of course Kevin Nash, and Razor Ramon, Scott Hall over there, that that would kind of sink the WWE, which for a while it kind of worked, but then the creative genius more Vince McMahon was you create new people. Degeneration X was created. Um, they were created to go ahead and they were like in your face type of group. I mean, of course, you had Triple H, Shawn Michaels, K-pop, uh, you know, others. I can't think of other names right now, but you had all these different ones. That all these different fractions that would kind of fight each other, and were in the WCW World Championship Wrestling, former Georgia Championship Wrestling. Uh, you had, of course, Four Horsemen. Then you had, the NWO, the New World Order. Hulk Hogan turned bad. Then you had different breaks up from the New World Order, where you had the Wolf Pack, which was uh, kind of, because the New World Order was the New World Order. I think it was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash kind of broke up from there, and the Wolf Pack, they ended up fighting. Now by sheer numbers, the New World Order eventually ended up taking over WCW. Kind of painted about. I mean, they were kind of like I think the New World Order was the start of the downfall for the WCW. I mean, yes, it was neat, but anytime your product is taken over, by um, more or less outside pride, it makes your product not look as well. Now, one thing, when Ric Flair, which everybody knows, Hulk Hogan was the world championship for the longest time, or world champion for the longest time for the WWF, and Ric Flair was the NWA and also the WCW world champion. Well, one of the things, when Hogan went over to the WCW, his popularity, his contract made him be more or less the champion, stuff like that. Well, one thing, when Ric Flair went over to WWE, and you also seen this with Sting when he went over to WWE, Goldberg, when he went over from WCW to WWE, you seen that none of these other former WCW people never became the actual WWE champion, where Hulk Hogan became the WCW champion. So, in my estimation, in my opinion, it made the WWE look a hell of a lot better, a hell of a lot stronger, because they protected their brand. And that's one of the things that the WCW failed at. And also, you have the ownership of the McMahon family, where once Ted Turner, even though Ted Turner had gotten a lot of money from Viacom to buy it, he no longer had can you know complete say over as far as what could be done. So if you look at it, okay, let's take back and if you look at the former United States Football League, okay, the original United States Football League. I'm not talking about this one that ended up merging with the UFL or with um, the the one that merged, but the original um, the original um, United States Football League, it was more competitive um, to the NFL because it wanted to take the spot to compete with the NFL. It was taking players away. It was uh, it was not considered a B league or anything like that. So they were growing. But if let's just say if the NFL would have, instead of letting the league fail, would have took over the United States Football League, kind of like what they did with AFL. Let's say if they would have done that, and gave them more power over them. That's kind of what the WCW did when they brought Hulk Hogan over from, they failed to protect their brand, and then they just spent way, way too much money on one person. Just like in a way, if I mean, you could maybe make an argument, and the jury is still out as far as Deshaun Watson and yes, I'm jumping around from football to wrestling, but I'm trying to compare apples to apple because you spent okay, let's say Russell Wilson for the Denver Broncos never worked out for the Denver Broncos, never was that quarterback that they were. So basically, they ended up mortgaging their team for nothing, and ended up getting spent too much money, could not afford, because even though you don't have a salary cap in wrestling, but you do got a budget, you do got, they do got to prove that they're making money, and obviously they were not making enough money for Viacom to keep them, and that's basically one of the things that I look at. But I'll tell you, if you look at some of the only, and I think it has fallen off, the only thing that's really left to compete with the WC or with the WWE now has kind of took a step back from what they were when it came on, and that is All Elite Wrestling. And they're still not what they're not what they were at one time. You know, uh, when they went ahead and but I other than having different shows. Um, they went in, they signed Coley Rose, made him president, tried to, more or less tried to make them a viable competitor, but I don't think that, you know, I don't think that worked out quite as well as they thought it was, that they should. So, everybody knows that Cody Rhodes is now back in WWE. One of the things that I do think that, um, but yeah, Vince McMahon did this to protect his brand too. Um, is I do think that in a lot of ways he missed the opportunity in some ways, because even though I think that how they ended WCW, you know, it just it just ended. They could have had, I think, so much more if they would have promoted that show. Even though they did try to do it with ECW and stuff like that too. They tried promoting it ECW before and stuff like that. But I think I think that Vince McMahon kind of had a miss there when he just bought it and basically just threw it away. He kept some of the talent, but what he did was he eliminated his competition. And that's more or less what he did. Uh, I just wanted to come on a little bit, talk about something other than just the Detroit Lions. So, I'm not sure that I'm doing that great in this, but this is Maniac Tim from Maniac Sports. I'm just going to sign off now. Hope everybody has a great day. Take care. You guys all have a good one.